Welcome back to This Is Not CBC.
All right, Canada, buckle up. The Carney Budget 2025 has passed. That means one thing for Ottawa. Lawmakers put paper on a plan. For most Canadians, it means something very different. More uncertainty, more interest payments, and a government that says it's investing for the future, while folks try to pay for groceries, heat, and rent right now. Let's cut the political theater. Yes, the budget survived the confidence test, for now. But don't pretend this means everything's settled. In a minority parliament, budgets are confidence votes. If MPs bail or a new coalition forms, a spring election is still on the table. That's how minority governments work. Lose the support of parliament, you go to the polls. So people panicking about no more votes are sleeping on parliamentary reality. An election this spring is still possible if the political math flips. So what's actually in the budget that should make you furious? Here are the parts that matter to real people. Not yachts or tax loopholes for the wealthy. Deficits are massive. This budget carries a massive budget hole. That means Ottawa will be issuing a ton more debt to finance it. Debt that you ultimately pay for with higher taxes, fewer services, or bigger interest bills crowding out real priorities. Interest costs are climbing. The government now expects to spend tens of billions just to service its debt. That's more of your tax dollars going to pay bondholders, not to schools, hospitals, or lowering your grocery bill. Economic growth is weak. The budget actually projects slow growth in the near term, meaning Canada won't bring in the tax revenue it needs to close its fiscal gaps. In short, more borrowing, slower recovery, and less money for the essentials. What does that mean for average Canadians? The ones worried about food, rent, heating, fuel, instead of yachts or tax breaks for jets. The cost of living doesn't magically drop because Ottawa says so. If growth is slow and inflation or energy shocks continue, Canadians will keep feeling the squeeze. The budget promises cost relief, but real relief depends on lower energy prices, major wage gains, and supply fixes, none of which are guaranteed. Renters and people living paycheck to paycheck will be hit hardest. When government cash gets diverted to debt, there's less available for rental support, social programs, and income help. So much for generational investment, when your fridge and heating bill are the real crisis. Now let's talk doomsday talk. Is Canada going to go bankrupt? And yes, does that mean we'll be begging the U.S. to let us become the 51st state? Here's what's actually realistic. No tinfoil hat needed. A sovereign country like Canada doesn't go bankrupt like a person. The government can roll and refinance debt. We borrow in our own currency, and we can raise taxes or adjust policy. We're not going out of business next week. The more immediate risk is interest payments eating into the budget, squeezing out services, and forcing unpopular trade-offs. But make no mistake, Canada's debt burden is heavy, and if Ottawa continues to run deep deficits while growth stays weak, interest costs will take up a bigger piece of the pie. That leaves less room for health, infrastructure, or any real cost of living relief. And that's not a distant risk. It's a serious long-term problem. And the idea that the U.S. will just make us the 51st state? That's political meme, not a practical policy outcome. It's legally, politically, and culturally absurd. The real danger isn't annexation. The real danger is creeping fiscal instability, crowding out social spending, and long-term economic stagnation. So what's the timeline? Realistic worst case. If interest rates stay high, debt servicing eats up more and more government revenue. Growth is weak, so Ottawa can't just rely on booming tax receipts. In a decade, more of your tax dollars go to paying the interest instead of anything that helps your life today. That's the path we're on, not a sudden default, but a long, painful erosion of fiscal capacity. And politically, that spring election could still come. Minority governments don't guarantee stability. MPs worried about their seats rather than your grocery bill can collapse this government anytime. So yeah, the budget passed, but that doesn't mean things are fine. For regular Canadians paying for food, heat, rent, this isn't a victory. It's a down payment on a bigger problem. We should be furious. We should be demanding better. And make no mistake, we won't forget. This is not CBC, because someone still has to call it like it is.